Okay guys, let's talk about the amplifiers. Alright, so you can see there that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 amps going. And then at the top of this rack, we've got what's called a DSP, which is a digital signal processor that processes all the signals before they hit the amplifiers. So we'll get into that in a second. First thing we need to know is how in the world does signal get from the mixing board into these amplifiers. So I'm going to show you that connection here. So if we look over here, let's see here, there we go. Alright, so you can see send 14, 15, and 16 go, and you should keep in mind, oops, sorry about that, keep in mind that this patch panel is what's called normal. I got this patch cord in the way. It's normal, meaning that signal flows from this top one to directly under it, the bottom one, without any patch cable. You can interrupt that by putting a patch cable at the top or the bottom. Either one will interrupt it, but signal normally flows. It's called fully normal from here to there. Okay? So I have send 14, 15, and 16 going to the speakers. So the 14 goes to the front fills, 15 goes to main left, 16 goes to main right. Okay, so we'll start with the front fills. Out of the front fills, there's a cable that goes directly to this bottom amplifier right here, which is labeled on the front. Oh, let me get that. There we go. There we go. Which is labeled on the front fills mono. And you'll notice that I have a marking here to mark where the attenuator is. Don't think of this as a volume adjustment. The only thing this can do is attenuate the signal, input signal coming in. Alright, so I have that set so it's a nice balance for this front fills with the main speakers. Okay, so you'll notice that there is no adjustment on this one, and the reason for that is the setting on this amp is set up to send the same signal to both sides of the amplifier. So this signal, this side of the amplifier, channel 1, sends a signal to the two left front fill speakers, and this one, channel 2, sends signal to the the two right front fill speakers. Now, like I said, it's sending the same signal because I have it set in this configuration here called a Y input. You see that Y on the upper left there over DSP? That means the same signal is being sent to both. So you don't actually have to adjust this at all. This adjustment does nothing. It's only this first one that does the adjustment. Okay, so that's how signal gets there. And then likewise, it's similar. If we go back to here, it's similar. How this is set up is you got send 15 and 16 going to the main left and right. But instead of going straight to the amp, they hit this DSP first. Okay, this DSP unit here at the top is adjusting timing, time alignment of the speakers. There's an EQ settings. There's even a limiter on there to protect the speaker from being damaged. All that processing is happening right here, and I want to show you something. I have locked this unit out. I'm going to come over here and we'll look at this screen here for a second. If I press any button on the front here, let's say I go over here and press this encoder, it says locked. Hit another encoder, locked. This whole thing is locked out so somebody can't come over here and mess up your speaker DSP, your digital signal processing that's happening on this signal that's going to the speakers. So that's super important. If you ever need to get in here, and I recommend maybe after a few years, 3 to 5 years, you might want to do another test. You would put a test mic here into the input here and run some tests. If you want to get in here, what you'll have to do is when you power up, you press this RTA button as you're powering up, and that will allow you to get in there and unlock all of these features here. Okay, so anyway, just know that this DSP is handling all of that processing to make sure that the speakers are protected, they sound good, and they work together as a unit. All right, so all the inputs all the outputs after the signal has been processed, all the outputs go individually to these amplifiers below here in the rack. Okay, So I mentioned that the bottom is front fills. I'm going to start up here on the top. This top one is handling high frequencies left and right, and you'll notice again I have marked the attenuator settings. One more thing to keep in mind is I've locked these out as well. So if you press a button here, let me show you. If you press any one of these buttons, it says locked. How you unlock it is press these two at the same time and it'll unlock it. You shouldn't have to do that. Everything's already been set. The system's balanced and is running really well. But keep in mind, if somebody were to twist one of these knobs here, this attenuator knob, it will adjust the level going into this into the associated speaker here. So if you suspect that your system has been monkeyed around with, I'd come back here and make sure that the levels are matching where these little pieces of tape are marked. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every amp. Just know that you have a tri-amped system where you've got highs here, you've got low mids left, low mids right, and then you have a subwoofer, and finally I have the front fills there at the bottom. Okay, so that is how the system is set up with the amplifiers, and I think that's probably good for now. So I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya.